So let me take a shot at summarizing this movie.
Okay.
All right, the year 1953. Joseph Stalin, dead. Pierce Brosnan, born. Queen Elizabeth II, inaugurated. And so this movie comes out, and it was apparently the 75th highest grossing movie of the year, which always blows my mind that there's this many movies that come out, during these decades.
Yeah.
And so me, in the 21st century, I decide, hey, let's put on a movie. Let's put on a film and, relax and get lost in this world of sand something Arizona. Basically, it's a movie in a small town in Arizona where we have amateur photographer / journalist / someone who owns a home.
Astronomer.
Mr. John Putnam with his, I guess this girl who really is pretty explicitly saying, marry me. And he's saying, And they see this, spaceship land or crash into the earth. Spaceship looks fantastic. It creates this crater. He, Ella, and his buddy go in this, helicopter to see what this crater's all about, what this meteor is all about. He thinks he sees an alien ship. Nobody believes him. And then, the rest of the movie, there's basically a couple things that happen. These aliens, they're actually pretty nice. And all they want to do is get out of Arizona. And our man, Mr. Putnam, is trying to convince people, hey, I saw aliens down there. Nobody believes them. And then slowly the townspeople sort of start acting weird. And it turns out the aliens need parts for their ship. And so they need to make their way into town. So they're kind of taking over the appearances of the townsfolk. Eventually, it all comes to a head when, the sheriff of the town sees all these people are missing and he demands satisfaction. And he's going to go to the aliens and really tell them what's what or show them what's what. And then Putnam has to sort of help out the aliens, give them a little bit more time to get their ship off the ground, rescues the, clone townspeople, and then, the aliens leave and everybody lives happily ever after. Sort of the basic premise of this whole thing.
Yeah. Thought that was pretty good.
Yeah,
the movie, not your summarization.
Yeah.
I had pretty low expectations going in, honestly. I feel like I say that a lot, which is probably not a good thing, but
no.
It's like a 1950s B movie, science fiction movie. So I didn't think it would be very philosophical or have a lot of themes or deep things going on, which it doesn't have too much, but I don't know. I found it engaging. I was like, I want to see what happens.
What this movie does differently from the ones before it, or supposed to do differently, is that maybe you see things from the alien's point of view and maybe the alien isn't, completely malevolent.
It was just what I thought it was going to be, but I feel like the pacing was not as slow as I thought it was going to be.
Mm-hmm.
It's like 120 minutes and it kind of just keeps moving along. It's pretty tightly focused. Like when you say like, I'm going to watch a black and white 1950s movie, I don't know. I feel like your chance of being bored is like kind of high. I wasn't bored.
Yeah, I wasn't bored. That's for sure. This movie starts with a bang. Like you just see that asteroid or the alien ship just kind of come through the screen. And I think you see the same shot. Maybe they reuse it like twice or 3 times.
I suppose we should mention that this film was notable for its use of 3D.
Yeah.
And like when you see the meteor coming towards your face or other stuff, there weren't too many gratuitous like 3D shots like in the movie, but we didn't watch it in 3D, obviously.
Yeah, this is supposed to be like the first film mass released in 3D. So
yeah,
it's pretty notable for that. I mean, I suppose if you had to think of the notable things for this, that is probably the big one. And then, Ray Bradbury is kind of helped write the script a little.
Ray Bradbury wrote a treatment, which I don't know exactly what that is. It's kind of like, is just a screenplay, right?
Yeah, I mean, the way they make it sound, it's like he basically wrote the screenplay, but maybe they didn't use all of his dialogue.
It sounds like he wrote it. He wrote a version. They took it and they're like, we got to jazz this up and take out some of this philosophical crap. Anyway, so they took it and they kind of reworked it. It seems like they used the general idea and then some of his dialogue, and that dialogue we can talk about later, but it's very specific. Where I'm sure I know which of the what of the dialogue is his. But
yes, the big things that this film is probably known for is the 3D effects, and then these aliens land and they're kind of more peaceful. I don't know what it is. Like, why is it always aliens crash landing on Earth? Like, I guess it makes sense because we're not getting out there.
Yeah.
And it's just easy because there's only one and it's easy to tell a story. But what this movie does well, I think from the very beginning, is I like the way the alien is portrayed. I think that's done really well. You don't really see the alien. And from what I read, it seems like Bradbury didn't want the alien to ever be seen on screen and to only see their point of view. But you see the alien and you only get sort of glimpses and you're not really sure what you're looking at. And then when the alien walks, really all you see is sort of this glitter left behind. And then you see things mostly from the alien's point of view. And then you see this sort of cloud come back and take, take the townspeople. But I think from the very beginning, that was sort of the big thing where it kind of kept you engaged.
Yeah, there's like a mystery. You don't know where it's gonna go. New information's being revealed. There's a thing that crashes. The alien comes out. No one believes him. Some weird stuff happens with some of the townspeople where they're like, clearly possessed or cloned or something. And yeah, I feel like it's not very long. The pacing is good. It has like reveals of information like along the way.
Has some like character drama between characters. I mean, you have was it Putnam, and then I think her name was Ella is his like fiance, and she's pretty ride or die.
So, okay, I didn't understand. This is at the very beginning of the movie.
Okay.
I didn't understand their relationship because, like, they're not married. It's like his...
Fiance.
Is it even his girlfriend?
Well,
is it his fiance?
I imagine.
I don't think it is.
No, he hasn't proposed probably, but...
She's kind of like...
But they're dating,
obviously,
I guess.
yeah, obviously.
Although I don't understand, like, dynamics of this stuff in the 50s.
Okay, I don't understand that either.
So...
Okay, are they dating? Because there's, like, this thing where he's, like, looking at the telescope, and it's almost like are they gonna kiss? But like it seems like it's like for the first time.
But I don't know if that's because of
1950s.
Yeah, like the restrictions imposed by motion picture standards, or
I don't know.
I'm not sure.
It wasn't clear.
Because they're always all these movies. They're kind of like that, where it's like this borderline platonic relationship between our like love interests. Whatever.
But the thing about we want to talk about our main character. Okay, I didn't understand what his. So he's like a journalist.
Yeah, I think he's a journalist.
But he's like an amateur...
And an amateur astronomer.
Guy.
He has this... Our main guy is John Putnam. He has a telescope in his backyard. And then his fiancée, Ella, kind of lives with him.
I don't think she lives with him.
All right, probably not, I guess. And she's like a teacher.
But okay, here's the thing. How old is he supposed to be in the movie? Because in the movie, it seems like he's supposed to be like 25.
No, I can't imagine.
I know.
He looks 40 in the movie.
He's 41. I looked.
Oh, okay.
He's 41.
Wow.
But like, I guess, I don't know. Is it weird for a 41-year-old guy to have no family in 1953 or something? I don't know.
I don't
know what things were like back then. I don't know.
I don't know either.
The other thing I didn't get about it is like the whole town kind of like is derisive towards this guy. Like
derisive.
Derisive. Derisive-esque.
Yes.
The whole town like kind of craps on this guy because he but I don't know why. Like he has this reputation as like a kook, but I'm like,
it's weird because let's talk about a few things here.
Okay.
Basically, he's outside, John Putnam, and him and Ella looking through this telescope. They see a giant meteor, they think, come by and crash land.
Yeah.
All right. The next day, he hits up his buddy, and they go there on like an open cockpit helicopter.
Oh,
what is that?
Right. I kind of forgot about that.
It seems like just a death, like it's just there to kill people.
Oh,
like
that helicopter.
What is that?
Well, that's a helicopter in 1953, man.
It's a helicopter. That was.
No, I mean I've seen them in person, like in museums and stuff. It looks like an erector set, like truss bridge glued to like a lawnmower motor. And that's basically what it is. But yeah.
So
I forgot about him because he never showed up again. His friend. I thought he was gonna be like the
comic relief.
Yeah, but
maybe
he didn't do anything.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Anyway, yeah. His friend flies him out.
What is that? And so they go there, and then
because they never fly out there again, they always drive. So I'm like, why do they have to fly in the middle of the?
It's probably far away,
but they keep driving all the other times.
I don't know what to say.
I think I'm gonna say it. I think they just wanted to put a helicopter in the movie because it was cool.
It was cool.
Especially in 1953, it's probably gonna be cool.
That's
for
true.
Audiences like.
Do you know when helicopters came into being?
Like 1952, basically.
Whoa.
No, like 19. I mean, I think the first helicopter would be like sometime like 45 or 48. But like when they actually like used a lot, late 40s, I'm gonna guess, something like that. I can't be too far off.
Yeah. But then John like he goes down and he tries to see this meteor. And it's so cute. They have these like miniature sets.
I thought it looked pretty good.
It did look pretty good, but it's just so obviously a miniature set.
Yeah.
And so they recreated like the door of the spaceship, like the front. And so he sees that, but then it like zooms out, and there's two miniature shots. And the first one, he's like standing a little further away, and the second one, you see that they moved him a little bit closer. But it's a little bit of a jump cut because he's not doing the exact same motion when you see it. So that was cute. And then I guess they had this giant rock slide. So from the beginning of the movie, I was like, wow, they these things look good, like the alien effects and the spaceship. I was like, well, I wish they had like multiple camera angles on some of this stuff, but
I don't know. I mean, the cinematography has, in every movie we watch, like, I feel like improved in quality, like, dramatically.
Yes, this one had a few things where there was one other shot that I was shocked by. I think George or Frank or one of the other townspeople is driving his truck.
Oh, and it's just kind of like...
And no. There's like, they're driving pretty fast on the road, and you get an aerial shot.
It's just like following them.
Yeah, following them. And I'm not sure if that's like another truck with a crane or if that's like that helicopter.
No,
maybe.
It can't be the Well, I doubt it's the helicopter.
But that was like kind of wild to me to see that.
Yeah, it looks pretty
shot.
good. It was like, oh, that's very modern looking to me.
Yeah.
So I thought that was good. I don't. Do you understand? I was asking, like, why do they think he's a kook in the town?
I don't know. It seems like he has no goodwill built up, because you see this thing land, and you imagine if somebody's just like, hey, there's a meteor down there. Why don't you? Or there's something down there. I think it looks weird from the usual meteors I'd expect. They'd be like, well, all right, we'll see.
Yeah,
but they're so dismissive.
No one believes him.
It's like they have to be that for the point of the movie to come across.
I didn't understand. The reputation he has, it seems like this has happened like 5 times before. And every time he's been like, no, there's an alien, I tells you, and there's never an alien. That's the feeling that you get. Everyone in the town is like, oh, you with your alien shenanigans. But like, I think he just isn't. He's just a guy with a telescope.
True. And then, we talked about it with the day the Earth stood still, where this alien lands and everybody's just like, all right, that's an alien.
Yeah.
But this one's like so not nonchalant about it. And I will say, if Bradbury's aim was to show aliens as like not malevolent and kind of just malevolent and kind of just doing their own thing, well, in the day the Earth stood still, they were pretty like hands off,
One notable fact about this movie, or notable thing about the movie, is the aliens are not antagonistic. Just that's not their mission. They're just trying to leave. Like, they're not trying to mess with us or anything. That I feel like every time you read about this movie, they're always like, yeah, that was a notable thing about it. They're not trying to eat us or anything.
True.
They're just trying to get out of there.
Yeah. I guess for something that looks like this, like in The Day the Earth Stood Still, they look like people. So in this one, it's not robots, it's not people, it's a different like organic form, and it's not trying to eat us. So I suppose in that way,
they're a horrible form, which it is pretty horrible, honestly. Yeah. It's like a big putty. They called it
the fried egg.
Yeah, with like one eye on it, like in the middle. Their physical form being so repellent to us is like a kind of a big plot point, because they're like, hey, well, he tells the sheriff like, hey, imagine like this spider was like 8 feet tall and was saying that it means you no harm. Like, would you be freaked out? And he's like, yeah, probably.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that was weird, and it makes the town acts like his girlfriend, I guess. He's basically gonna ruin her life too with his space shenanigans. Everyone's like, oh, don't drag her down with you with your space nonsense.
Yes. It just creates a contrast, I suppose, between the people, the characters. So
no, it makes it interesting because this guy has a thing he believes in. We know he's right as the audience, but no one in the town believes him, and all this weird stuff happened. Like, they come across the telephone repair guys that have been
Frank and George, and it looks like
cloned.
Maybe Frank, like clobbered George or something.
Yeah, like he's acting super weird, and then John sees this body, kind of like an arm sticking out behind a rock, like in the desert, clearly like murdered or in a coma or something. And he's just talks to the telephone repair guy that's acting weird. He's just like, oh well, better be going now. That's sure is strange. And then John goes and tells the sheriff, and the sheriff is of course like, oh, more of your space nonsense again. And they drive out there and there's nothing there.
Yeah. And well, specifically the aliens have like planted a coyote or something. Like,
there's some blood at the scene, and then there's like a dead animal, and the sheriff's like, there's just an animal.
I mean, for me, the movie, it's just,
I think it was fine.
It was a fine movie. The problem is that I know too much. That's the problem. If I saw this in 1953, it'd be different. But
what do you mean?
This just feels like an episode of a show.
Yeah.
And it's just like, oh, they're not.
I don't know if you want to, how like philosophical you want to get or something, but
aren't we all just in a TV show?
Well, I mean, we are very specifically, but movies back then were not the same as the movie experience has changed over time. Like back then it was like, hey, you want to see a movie? It costs a nickel.
Yes. And then you see it for like it's 1 or 2 special effects scenes and you talk about that for weeks.
Yeah, it's like you want to go to the pictures. It wasn't like a whole thing like this week I'm going to see. It's just like probably you're like walking by and you're like, oh, it came from outer space? What came from outer space? And then you go watch it and it's like, oh, that was fun. And then you go on your way and that's it. So it wasn't such a big deal. It wasn't like advertised for like 3 months ahead of time on TikTok and YouTube and like, paying off reviewers like, you got to see this movie. Like it probably wasn't like that. It was just more of a simple thing. True. It's a B movie. It's just like cheap thrills.
Yes. I mean, they did do a lot with a little. I think the acting was really good, especially Frank and George when they were like acting like the clones.
Yeah, I thought everyone
did a great job.
acting like clones was pretty good.
And there were some amazing special effects in there as well. You had the glitter, the alien, sure. I think the rocket ship looked good as well. But then you had Ellen
or Ella. I don't remember if it's Ella or Ellen.
Ella, I think it's like cloned, and then she's talking to Putnam. So Putnam goes to the cave to try to help out the alien, say, hey, they're coming after you. And then Ella's like, well, I'm sorry, but we can't trust you anymore. And so she, kind of out of defense, I guess, the clone tries to kill him. But she uses this like laser beam that comes out of her hand. But it looked so good.
It looked really good.
Not only the laser beam
and
looked good.
the rock cutting.
Yeah, it cut
that was
through the
really
rock.
good.
I don't know how they did. That looks so good.
I know.
So that was phenomenal. Yeah, that was probably the best part. And then later, Putnam actually gets to the rest of the aliens who are working on their ship. Mm-hmm. And I think one of the head aliens points to their device that they have.
It's like a lava lamp. It's like turning on its side, like a huge...
Like a giant cone or something.
Yeah, it's just, yeah.
He's like, we worked 10,000 years or 10,000 lifetimes to make this.
1,000 years.
Something like that. But he said, I think he yells out, like he exclaims, like, look at the power of this thing. And
yeah, it's just a weird, goofy looking thing.
Yeah.
I don't really even know what it was doing. Was it cutting out of the rock or was it about to kill him? It's like an engine, right?
Yeah, I think so.
I don't know. It's funny.
It was very funny. So
look at what God has wrought.
Yes.
It's like this plastic,
They also apparently made 2 designs for the alien costume.
Oh, yeah?
And the one that they did not use was used in a different movie called, I think, This Island Earth. You should look it up, but it looks kind of like, I think it's in Berserk. Who's the brain guy? Is that Void?
Yeah. Yeah.
It looks very similar. I'll show you.
I thought it was very funny too. When again, a big point of contention is that the aliens, they somehow know that they look crazy or something. They look creepy.
And they're smart.
Oh no.
That looks wild.
Yeah, it does.
And so that looks
like a Cyberman from Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah,
the green guys.
It looks too. You would focus on that too much.
I think it looks too humanoid.
It looks too humanoid, and that's all.
But like a messed up human.
Yeah, and it looks too much. Like it would still make the point of like they look disfigured or different, but this one does it so much better because, you might be repulsed by what they look like, but not so much, and they're not so like crazy looking that you can't get over it.
Yeah.
So,
I thought it was funny how he's like, "No, show me your form. I can take it. I love," and then it shows itself, and he's immediately like, "Oh!"
And he even like turns his face, and
like the horror.
Yes,
you're so ugly.
They're trying to make a point with that.
I mean, it did look pretty crazy.
I thought it looked great, and again, I like the.
I mean, like I would be friends with it, but like
from a distance.
Yeah, like a zoom kind of.
Yeah, here, let me take off my glasses for this conversation. So one of the shots that I thought was pretty interesting. There are actually a few, but I think Ella with her like black dress when she's sort of like running away, the clone of Ella.
That was very striking when she first shows up and has just like that black dress on. I don't know why. It's just a black dress.
I think the contrast was really, really cool, and then it was kind of like a flowing dress. It felt like otherworldly. It
felt like ethereal. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was like, I don't know. That was a really cool shot.
It was very cool. It did have that effect. And when I was watching, I'm like, why is it having this effect? It's just a woman in a black dress. Yeah. It's not like anything crazy.
But that was a really cool shot. The more I talk about this movie, there are things that I like. The problem is that it's just specifically the.
Were you semi-conscious? Like,
that, but also like specifically like the concept and the concept really for me just that didn't like hit, and so I wasn't like completely invested. But when I talk about like different elements of the story, there's a lot of good stuff.
You want to talk about like the little bit of philosophical underpinnings? I think it's a couple of things. Sure. One, destroying things you don't understand. and just hating things because they look weird, even though, it's just how they are. And then like almost like how do you trust something? Because aliens have captured the townspeople and they're holding them hostage. And they say, hey, just trust us. We'll let them go after we do this. But then, John wants to trust them. The sheriff doesn't want to trust them. It's like, what do you do? It's like, do you cooperate? Do you just believe in this thing that you just met? Should you just kill them? Can you? It's like a little bit of that going on. And then the Cold War is suffused in there with like hating things you don't understand. But overall, it's not like super deep.
No. It was a fine movie, and especially being only 80 minutes long with an intermission.
Oh, really?
There, in my copy, I guess, what I watched, there was an intermission. I think you would get so many more people at a movie theater.
If you had an intermission?
If you had an intermission, and then they would like come outside, take a bathroom break, like buy more popcorn, which is really what you're trying to do, right?
I don't know, maybe. If the movie was shorter, strangely, I feel like that would work better. But if the movie's already like 2.5 hours long,
someone would just leave.
Do you want it to be like 3 hours, 3.5 hours?
No, don't make the movies longer. Just add intermissions to every movie.
Well, yeah, but I'm just saying movie length now is like kind of long. So
right,
it's like
so adding intermission might help, like 10 minutes, just stretch your legs.
But you're making it even longer is what I'm saying.
Sure, but I think you're giving people an opportunity to buy more stuff.
But when you sit down and say, hey, I'm going to go to the movies, and you're like, oh, it's going to take 3 hours, plus I got to drive there and back, it's like...
Adding 10 minutes isn't... I mean, maybe make it optional. I don't know.
So, psychologically, I don't know. I take an intermission every movie I watch anyway. I just take the middle 10 minutes, I just go to the bathroom.
Really?
No. No. A couple random things I wanted to bring up. The aliens... I get they're trying to set up this conflict and that the aliens are not supposed to be bad, and they've just done this to try to help them get off the planet, captured people and impersonated them and stuff. But like the way they do it, I think is like needlessly antagonistic. They're like, yeah, we captured these people. We're going to hold them hostage. No, you can't see them. No, you can't talk to them. You just trust us, bro. It's like...
There's a bit of an about face sort of done at the end there.
It's like, why don't you just let him see them or talk to them if you're so not evil?
There had to be more
I know,
conflict.
but it was like kind of stupidly
shoved in there.
Like it was almost like sitcomish where like they could resolve it with like just
words.
It was just simple misunderstanding. They could have just talked a little bit more. The whole time I was like, you guys are kind of being more dickish than you have to be. The other thing is, were they really able to repair their ship from stuff
with copper wire?
Stuff they found at like a small town Home Depot
in the 50s?
And it's like, hey, maybe because the first people they capture and clone are these telephone repair guys. And then John, the main character, is talking to the sheriff, and he's like, maybe they captured the telephone repair guys because of the equipment on their truck. It's like, well, I don't know what Southwestern Bell is going to do to repair this 1,000-year-old.
What's so funny is, okay, let's look at today. Let's look at human civilization today and what we have that goes to space.
Yeah.
Because this is 1952, I think. 53. Like, this is before we've sent anybody, like, to the moon or anything. Okay, today, the year 2024.
Sputnik was 1957, I believe.
Right, so the first satellite. Nobody. But, like, okay, so they even sent anybody to anywhere in this.
Yeah.
By this time. So we... Let's say make a spaceship. Our spaceships take people, let's say even to Mars.
Yeah.
These people traveled across galaxies.
Yeah.
And so can you imagine us from the year 2024, like a NASA scientist saying, hey guys, I got to repair my ship, which is nowhere near as advanced as this alien ship would need to be. And he's like, oh, better go to like Radio Shack and pick up some stuff to repair this.
Yeah.
Like,
like
it's comical.
This, like, even in today, like the space shuttle crashed.
No, that's what I mean.
Near Marfa, Texas, and it's like, hey, we just need some time, and we need your best AT&T Spectrum van, and we'll get this running like in a couple hours. So
it's hard to take some of this stuff seriously.
It was like they had to clone the townspeople so they could move about the town freely to get the stuff they need to repair their ship. But like, what are they gonna get?
Exactly. So okay, so like big picture here. Concept, I think it's a good concept. It's, aliens who are just kind of doing their own thing, and then they're coming to town kind of cloned as other people, and that creates some conflict between the people. Great. The story itself, I think, I don't know, it was short. It was just kind of a good and a bad thing, and it wasn't very complicated. So maybe that's my issue there. Plot, I think, was fine. The way it was paced, very well done. The acting also good, especially like the people who are cloned. And then the sound I have an issue with. Oh, so here about this. That theremin,
Yeah.
just so loud and so pervasive.
Was that? Do you know? Is that the first? That's a very classic B movie sci-fi sound. Is that the first time that it was used?
I don't think it was the first time. It was one of the first.
Also,
times.
like that, I didn't know that was an instrument, a theremin. I read in the book it was like the theremin trill, and I was like, theremin's like a guy who invented this sound, right? Like, no, it's an instrument. What else is that instrument used for besides 1950s B sci-fi movies? Like, what other purpose does it have?
It also did I think the Star Trek original series.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Was that just like a 50s, 60s thing? Am I hearing them all the time and just not noticing? I don't think so.
I think it said on Wikipedia or something that it was replaced more by like the synthesizers.
That makes sense.
Because using it is like not easy.
Yeah, I heard. Yeah, it seemed like very complicated.
Right. Okay, so sound. I think there wasn't really much music that I thought was great.
Kind of like some orchestral kind of
stuff. Well, it was okay, but that theremin, it was good, but it was way overused and it was kind of loud, at least the way I heard it. What else? The filming, like I said, I think the filming was good. The shots were pretty good. I wish there was more like multicam angles of some of the shots. Like, you know, especially in the beginning, you have these rocks falling into this crater covering up the spaceship. They probably cut to it like 4 or 5 times, and it's just the same exact angle of these rocks falling.
Yeah.
So that's one thing.
I thought it was very. I liked it. I thought it was solid
as a 3D movie. It was solid. It was solid.
I thought it was very. It's like a simple movie. It's a short movie. It's just, it keeps it going along. There are like problems when you sit down and like think about it, but like it kind of just carries you along through the story, and you're not thinking about these things that maybe don't add up too much. Like at the time, I feel like it was a very just effective, simple vehicle. Like you take this movie and you take The Thing, either one, it doesn't have the same weight to it, but it's not supposed to. Okay, I had a couple random things. One, did it like shock you when he just whipped out that gat?
Sort of.
I was like, what?
Putnam just pulls out a gun.
They're like driving and they pull over at night, him and his girlfriend, right? Like they're in the desert. They pull over at night because they're gonna investigate, and then he just pulls out like a gun out of the glove compartment. And the funny thing is that gun is like very prominent with him for like most of the movie.
Yeah, he pulls it on Frank and George as well, the clones.
Yeah, and then he pulls it on like the clone Ella as well, and kills her with it. Actually,
I mean, is this not realistic?
No,
like him having the gun.
Well, I don't know. It was just weird. Like he just whips it out. She makes no reaction at all. She's like, yeah, of course. I don't know. But was that a thing in the 50s? Was that normal? I have no idea.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. I mean, I think small town Arizona, even today, you'd probably expect it.
Did it not surprise you?
Not really.
When he just whipped it out, I was like, oh.
A little bit, because I was like, oh, but I guess it makes sense.
Oh, and it was so funny because they're like looking around in the desert. It's dark, and then like they see something and she screams like 1950 style. She does that a lot also.
Very loud.
It's very loud. Yeah. Anyway, he's like, oh, it's just a tree.
It's a Joshua tree.
Joshua tree. I was like, I don't know. That's funny.
Yeah. They picked a good tree for that.
It was a weird looking tree.
Yeah, for sure.
That's okay. That's one thing. The other thing, he goes to the police station, I think, because 2 people have reported the telephone crew missing, like their wives or girlfriends or something.
Yeah.
Why is that one girl so incredibly flirtatious the whole time? It's just like, for no reason, she's just like, oh, I don't know. He's missing or something. And then like she like walks out and she's like, oh. I'm like, why is this in here? It doesn't fit. She's like apparently there to report her boyfriend missing. It's like a B movie thing. Like
maybe.
Okay, the other thing is, did his like weird desert soliloquies like throw you off? It's pretty normal dialogue the whole time, and then like 2 or 3, I think 3 times in the movie, he just like kind of starts staring off and just like navel gazing, philosophizing. He's like, oh, the desert, the power to kill. Should we venture out into that great unknown? And you know, his girlfriend's just there like.
I think maybe they made him a journalist to make that less.
What I read was
weird.
that like that was from Bradbury's stuff. I mean, it's more literary,
but
it doesn't fit with the rest of the movie at all. It's like, hey, what's up, Frank? should we venture out into this deep dark? You know, it's like
Frank. Why is it Frank and not Hank? What did this do for me? What has it done to me?
Yeah. So that, I mean, I don't know. These are all just little goofy things. But
Yeah.
I don't know. We're venturing into the area of B-movie science fiction.
Yeah, this is like what people really think about when they think of older science fiction.
Yeah.
Is these sorts of movies.
Like Attack of the Robots or...
Attack of the Killer Robots.
Yeah.
Attack of the 10-foot robots.
The 8-foot robots. The 10-foot ants. We're going to watch that movie. I was not looking forward to getting to that part of it because it's kind of like not... I feel like we both like the concepts of science fiction more.
Mm-hmm.
And then that B-movie sci-fi has a reputation of being more about like cheap thrills and stuff.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I was like kind of pleasantly surprised. For me, at least.
Yeah. I mean, I guess I wasn't... I was tired, and maybe that colored a lot of things in this black and white movie, but that I said fell flat, but it's actually the first 3D movie. But it is good. And I think maybe it's that I'm judging it too harshly because now that it's shown competence in all these areas, I'm comparing it to things from the future and not from the past. And if I did compare it to maybe movies and things we've seen from the past, it is, it's just straight up good in some areas.
Yeah. I mean, as a vehicle for a simple concept and to show off those special effects, which were
that's true.
Even today, like
that
cool.
is true. That is one thing that stood out to me: the special effects.
It gets in there, does its job, and then
the 80 minutes.
Then you're
is
off
really,
to the soda shop or whatever.
Yeah, where you get your nickel soda.
Oh, a nickel! You're getting ripped off, buddy.
You might be
Hey
right.
penny.
When you look at the individual parts, I think there's a lot good here. And I feel like modern movies could probably take a huge page out of this to make, better, concise movies. You don't need all the money in the world or all the special effects. Not everything has to be
everything to everyone.
Everything to everyone. It's like always end of the earth. And, this was an $800,000 movie, which I guess maybe at the time was actually a ton of money.
Yeah, like $8 billion back then.
Probably. But
the other random thing, I noticed these women in this movie had like their hair. It's the like same hair as like my grandma had, and I don't know. It just dawned on me. I'm like, oh, like she just kept the same hairstyle from when she was like in her 20s,
right?
Like most people do. I was like, oh, that's funny.
I wonder what things are going to carry over. They're going to be odd for the generation, like 50 years from now.
I don't know. Real quick, like the very ending. Do these movies to you just not end like? It's like, oh, it's over. Like, it was just kind of like they took off and he's like, well, that was a damn thing that happened. And it was just like, I don't know. I feel like they're just, it just kind of ends. I know the movie's over, but there's no like epilogue or wrap up or anything. Like, hey, aliens bothered. Some of us were in the presence of aliens for a long time. We were captured. What does this mean for like everything? Our species? We're not alone. It was just kind of like, well, hot damn, and then it's over.
Yeah, that was pretty weird. See you next time.
Yep.